In order to conduct any study, you need your sample to represent your population well. Okay, we talked about that at the end of the last video, but you are not going to be able to talk to everyone in your population, so you're picking out this small sample, and these people have to represent the population well. Otherwise, your data is not going to be good. This is actually really, really hard to do, but there's different methods of how to pick your sample that can help you get a good representative. The key to a good sample is randomness. If you are randomly selecting people to be a part of your survey, that is good. That's a good step into getting good data. So I'm going to outline 6 different ways that you can pick people, and they have names. So the first one is a random sample. That's where every member of the population has an equal chance of being chosen. An example of this is when you draw names from a hat. Okay, if I'm giving away a prize and everyone in class has a chance to win it, put everyone's name in a hat and draw them out. You can actually do this with a larger population. So if you had, let's say, all the seniors in Bryan High School, you could list them, give them numbers and list them, and then have a computer like randomly generate numbers, and that would be a way to do that. A cluster sample is when you take your population and you divide them into clusters, those are groups, and then you randomly choose certain clusters to use. So example of this, clusters is students are divided into AA classes. Those are your clusters. And then you randomly select certain AAs, several AAs. And then you survey everyone who's in them. Okay, so maybe you randomly select Mrs. Rockies and Mr. Greens and Mr. Redheads, and you go and you just survey everyone in there. So that'd be an example of a cluster sample. A stratified sample is when the population is divided into groups with similar characteristics, and then you pick a sample from each group. Again, randomly. That is the key on all of these, is that you are randomly selecting these people. If you're not, you may not get good data. That's a bad color. All right, so an example of a stratified sample is students are divided into grade levels. So we have 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And you randomly choose 20 from each class. Maybe something that you're studying, you want to make sure you get an equal number of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors to respond to you. So you might set up a stratified sample. Another way to do this would be by gender. You want to make sure that you have 50 girls and 50 boys. So that would be a stratified sample. A systematic sample is one of the best ways to get a good random survey, random sample for your survey. And you just have some sort of rule to select the members. So like every third person in line, in the lunch line. An example of this is maybe you decide to survey every 5th person who walks in the arts and ed doors in the morning before school. Okay, so it's really a great random. There is some problems with this particular one I set up. If you're only surveying people who come in through the arts and ed, you may be missing a lot of younger people who ride the bus. So you would have to take that into consideration. A convenience sample is exactly what it says. You're choosing subjects that are close to you or easy to get to. This is not a very good way to sample people. There's going to be a lot of problems with this. An example is you ask everyone in your study hall. Survey questions. How did you pick the people in your study hall? Did you have some sort of random method? Nope, it was just the people that were easy and close to you. And the last one is a self-selected sample, and that's when you ask for volunteers to participate. An example of this is you send out a Google form and people volunteer to fill it out. The problem with self-selected samples is a lot of people ignore them. People have to choose to participate, And generally, the people who are going to choose to participate are people who have strong opinions one way or another about it. So you are going to miss the opinions of people who are just like, that's not worth my time. Whereas if you're asking every fifth person who walks in the door, there's less of a chance that they're going to walk away and be like, that's not worth my time. They might, but less of a chance. So these last two are not very good methods of choosing your sample. When you are conducting your survey for your project, I strongly encourage you not to use these two, because if you're sending out a Google form to everyone and people are voluntarily filling it out, you are not randomly selecting people, and so there's no guarantee that your sample is a good representative of your population. In our last video, we're going to talk about why picking the sample is so important and what problems can arise from it.